take a look at the, you guessed it, world premiere.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Everything in Poderation, or as I like to call it, EIP3. It's a show that's about the internet because the internet can be too much. I am Robert, and I am a world premiere.
Hi, I'm Todd Howard. I'm Daily Wilhelm.
Hi, and I am Sony, who wasn't at the conference. I'm honestly, I'm just a little flustered because I'm just mad at Robert for coming up with that joke and not
EIP3?
Me. Yeah. I'm just
we're gonna make stickers.
I'm just upset.
Yeah, we're here to cover the Electronic Entertainment Expo, the 20th. I think it's at least the 20th year of E3. I don't remember when it started exactly. 96, right?
95?
It was 94? The 90s. It was the 90s. It's about our age.
Yeah, because 95 was when they announced Sony announced the price of the PlayStation 1. And the guy got up on stage and was just like $299 and then walked off stage because that was so much cheaper than the Sega Saturn, I think, actually.
Mm-hmm. And thank God PlayStation never got arrogant since then, and they've been pretty modest, humble,
very straightforward. Yeah.
Do you guys not have second jobs?
No. Just like how Blizzard thinks we all don't have phones. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the whole E3 as VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb puts it, and I will never not think of it this way anymore, the Summer Games Mess, which is exactly what all of this is, because they're the official E3 conferences, which I put them on our little Google Doc here. Yeah, we're sponsored by Google, I guess, because we use that to do our show. There's like, what is that? 9, 12, 18, 23 official E3 conferences across 4 days.
Oh.
And then a bunch more that started both before, during, and after the official E3 times. And there are still more coming in the next week or two that, because of time restrictions and just how time works, we can't really cover or talk about, because E3 is now a summer games mess.
Yeah.
Mess.
I mean, it's telling that Robert straight up had to make a fucking spreadsheet in our document for this episode.
There are colors.
Yeah.
Because there was overlap between some pretty big shows. Like, they were just like, fuck you, we're doing it in the same time slot.
Mm-hmm.
You have 2 monitors. I know you gamers.
Dude, it's like straight up going to like one of those big music festivals where there's multiple stages and you actually have to choose who you want to see.
Right. Yeah. I mean, luckily, there were very few overlaps, I would say, in the schedule, even among the different conferences going on.
Yeah.
Which was nice. And whenever there was like, okay, do I get the gourmet fancy burger from the local shop or day old Wendy's? And the choice is pretty clear.
Day old Wendy's. I fucking love Wendy's. Get a Frosty whole day.
Yeah. It didn't really matter because you were, for the most part, with a lot of these conferences, I'm just going to say right off the bat, you were kind of choosing between shit or shit.
Yeah, it depends, right?
Yeah, it depends. But for the most part, dude, I mean, there were some conferences they came to show something. There was a lot of indie games being shown. But overall, man, a lot of these conferences were like, this could have been an email.
But guys, the Elden Ring.
Oh, Elden Ring.
Oh.
Can you even imagine it?
No, I can't.
Now I can.
I know.
Because I've seen the trailer.
It's like Dark Souls with horse.
I think.
Yeah.
I think Jeff was just kind of bum rushing the rest of the presentation just to get to the Elden Ring announcement.
I don't think that's fair, but I think you could tell that's what he was most excited about.
It was very obvious. It was like, oh, hey, guy, like the guy with like, what was it? Painkiller. He's like, yeah, so we have a new Painkiller game coming.
Anyway, Elden Ring.
Anyways, that's great.
Even Ryan Reynolds promoting his own movie was like, "Oh, I know this isn't Elden Ring, guys," but
yeah. So you're basically saying Jeff was like, "Oh, thank you for coming onto my stage. Come here, give me a hug. Like, thank you for being here." And then he whispered in the ear, "Get the fuck off my stage right now. I want Elden Ring, and you are taking up my precious time.
I will fucking end you. All right, no more premieres for you."
Yeah, but I think speaking of that, right? So Elden Ring, of course, was revealed at the Summer Games Fest opening show, which, I mean, it's just the show, really, which is Jeff Keighley's thing, one of his many things now. And I think it's really telling that how we've been framing this conversation and how the general internet has framed the E3 conversation is Summer Games Fest was not part of E3. Everyone talks about it like it was part of E3 because E3 at this point is kind of
this is news to me.
Yeah, it wasn't E3, right? But like on r/games on the subreddit, it was tagged as E3 2021.
It's easy. It's easy. It's the taxonomy. It's just like the summer game announcements. That's what E3 is, right? Right.
And it gets to be a little pedantic when you can say, like, for example, the Wednesday before E3, EA revealed Battlefield 2042. Everyone thinks of it as, oh, it was cool when I saw Battlefield 2042 at E3. But then you have to be pedantic, and it's like, but actually, it wasn't revealed at E3. It was revealed 4 days before E3, actually.
Who fucking cares?
Yeah, who cares? There was
a giant tornado in Dubai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I care about.
I think that from Jeff's perspective and the rest of the people that were running these shows, he knew full well like that's exactly what was going to happen, and I think he's okay with that, right? I mean, this is I think this, jumping ahead a little bit, I don't think this vernacular is going to be going away. I think this is how it's going to be for now on, and but the difference is, though, is from the gamer's perspective, it doesn't matter. Like it's all E3. It doesn't fucking matter.
It's all E3.
Yeah. Where's the fucking meme with the man on the moon and the gun?
It was all E3?
It was all E3 all along. I'm going to recycle that thumbnail, guys. Get ready for that.
Jay Daly's just jotting it down.
It's all E3.
Yeah. So with that kind of established, right, that, like, I just want to catch all of the pedantic people out there. We know that everything we're talking about isn't officially E3. We also don't give a shit about the fact that not everything is technically E3 because it's all E3.
Yeah, right? And chances are you probably don't either. And chances are, like, I mean, we don't talk about video games very often on the show anyway. So,
well, because none of us play video. I mean, has it changed much since Mario?
The Mario?
Who's Mario? I only know the Pac-Man.
Oh, I think he's Luigi's brother. I know most people know Luigi more. I'm just kind of like an underground guy, and I really like Mario a lot.
I haven't been to the local penny arcade in a few weeks, guys. You might need to slow it down for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But I do think, though, that it is interesting to talk about from an internet point of view, because this is the first time that we've seen, like, the way this is handled like this, right? Like I mean, it was a little bit last... What's that?
Like all remotely, all
remote. Yeah, I mean the way that we get our game announcements during the summer is changed forever.
Mm-hmm. Did you feel the change? Because I can't say that I really felt the change, other than there's no like sweeping shots of audiences.
That was the only thing, is we're missing crowd reactions, but that's about it. I mean, I'm kind of okay with mainlining it, but I'm also at the same time I missed the fun cringe moments with the people on stage. I'm very conflicted about this.
See, I'm leaning toward what Daly's question was positing, is I don't think for your average person, E3 has changed. E3 has not changed for your average person, is what I'm trying to say. The biggest change is the crowd reaction. I don't think we're ever going to get "No, you're breathtaking" from Keanu Reeves ever again.
Fuck yeah.
We're not going to get that moment. But it makes me think a lot about how, like, a lot of the late night show hosts, right? They've, for the past year and a half, been doing their show from home or like a separate office or something because of, I don't know, there's something going on outside, right?
Something.
Where crowds couldn't gather. And then recently, many of them have been coming into the studio, or some of them have been in the studio for a while with like a smaller audience, right? Like a more socially distanced audience. And I think it was last week, Stephen Colbert is like officially in the studio, full audience, all vaccinated and all that stuff, which is rad. but you feel the difference in the energy, right? And that different energy is something that, if I'm being honest, I expect we're going to see it at E3 2022. I think we're going to go back and do Microsoft doing their show in the Microsoft Theater, hundreds of people in the theater watching, cheering, laughing, whatever. Fucking who's going to be the next video game actor? Joel McHale. He's going to star in a new game, and everyone's going to be like, "Hey, it's Joel McHale. You're the soup guy and the community guy." And it's going to be cringy, but I think we're going to get crowds again next year for sure.
I can see that.
I could see that. I mean, because the past year, there's just been so much talk about how E3 is dead. Like, effectively, the ESA is going to kill E3. They're not going to get the funding, blah blah blah, and that still remains to be seen. But what I will say though is about this year, it really showed that if this is the way that this is going to go, there's a lot of uncertainty there, and that's showing either that or it's growing pains, because there was just a lot of publishers, a lot of developers that had next to nothing to say, but they still felt like they needed to say something. It just to keep their name in the minds of gamers during this whole thing.
Because it's more accessible in terms of you don't have to rent out the Microsoft Theater, you don't have to amass this big presentation on a stage. Instead, you can just drop hey, we have some gameplay. Would you like to see? It's easier for there to be more of announcements, but less actual information.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, stuff like what I heard, I didn't even watch it, but I heard Take-Two Interactives was basically just a Zoom call.
Yeah, Take-Two was very corporate phone call almost, and the entire chat was spamming GTA 6.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's a summoning spell, Robert. I told you on Twitter. If we say it enough, it will happen.
For sure.
Of course. And then there was the other one with, oh God, I can't even remember what the name of it was, but it was 2 hours long. The Coke Prime Time.
The Coke. Yeah, Coke Media.
Coke Media Prime Time. That was terrible.
Koch? Coke?
Yes.
Yep.
Yikes.
It was 2 hours of someone popping up on screen and talking, and then somebody else talking, and then other people talking, and then the occasional trailer sometimes, and then it just ended after 2 hours, and it just said stream over.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mix of audience expectation for an E3 presentation is usually very, very high, right? And I feel as someone who, if I had to put on a presentation during E3, I would feel oh my God, what's going to be our Elden Ring? We got to have an Elden Ring, right?
Fuck.
Yeah.
And when you don't, it's kind of well, what the fuck are we going to do? But at the same time, they can't just not be at the games industry biggest thing, right? Sony's taken the leap. They've been fine, I guess. I don't know. But for some of these other ones, Capcom, I remember Capcom's presentation. It was a 20-minute thing that was just hey, remember Resident Evil? We released that game.
Yeah.
And we learned they're making DLC, that's great. That could have been a tweet.
Yeah.
Right, because it was just the same footage that we've been seeing in every single gameplay trailer. And it wasn't you guys liked Lady Dimitrescu. You're going to see her again in the DLC. No information about the DLC. No idea.
Yeah. And so my question is, what would have been better for Capcom, to not show up at all, or to have been more straightforward about what their show is about? Because I also think of Bandai Namco. They had a little segment that was just about Man of Medan, but on most schedules, it was Bandai Namco presentation. And when you see that, you're oh my God, Dynasty Warriors 12? Oh my God, fucking a new Dragon Ball game? What are they going to announce? But if they just said Bandai Namco presents a behind the scenes look at Man of Medan, or whatever the new fucking those games are, right?
the Dark Anthology games.
Yeah. Had it been that, would it be more oh, okay, so I'll tune in if I'm interested, but
there's almost a bit of subterfuge to it, where it's we could be announcing something, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure to watch. We probably won't, but we could.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and that's the thing for me, it was just if you're just transparent and upfront, people will have know to temper their expectations. With this latest Nintendo Direct, which Nintendo had arguably one of the strongest showings out of this whole ordeal. I mean, they said straight up, hey, it's going to be 40 minutes. of just software. So
just software,
like dropping off the whole, Switch Pro shits that have been leaking
Hold your
forever
horses,
now.
guys.
Yeah, and most of which are coming out in 2021, and that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they still had a very strong showing. They brought back a lot of franchises that like people didn't expect, and and that was great. So then when you have stuff like Capcom, where like I can literally tell you, like, I think off the top of my head, it was Street Fighter esports stuff, Village getting DLC, and Monster Hunter Rise / Monster Hunter Stories 2 crossover. I think that was it.
That was
Great Ace Attorney.
And Great Ace Attorney.
Cannot forget Herlock Sholmes.
Which, by the way,
is a game that is just now releasing in North America. It's not that it's a brand new game.
Mm-hmm.
And literally the only piece of real news that came out of it that we didn't know about beforehand was the Village getting DLC piece.
Yeah.
Like, that was
I mean, for me, like, as a fan of Great Ace, or like Ace Attorney, right? It was just nice to see that extended gameplay. Like, I was interested to see it because I want to play that game and I want to see how it'll function before I buy it. But it just didn't. It didn't feel like it should have been a Capcom presents our E3 show. I feel like it would have been better if they were just like, and Capcom was just gonna like go over some games that have come out and like show you a little bit more of games that will be coming out soon, but don't expect any surprises. Because I want to also point out we've seen like 5 trailers for Monster Hunter Stories 2 over E3.
Yes.
I mean, that's too many.
We've seen a lot.
We've seen multiple trailers for one video game, and I get it. If you're excited about Stories 2, that's fine. It seems like it'll be fun. But taking up that screen time just to remind people with different trailers feels like it's a bit too much.
Yeah, and I would actually even disagree with you, Robert, in the part of like the Great Ace Attorney. I don't think, like, I'm glad that they showed the gameplay. I don't think it needed to be a part of this presentation. I don't think that game shows very well.
I mean, it doesn't.
Thing. Yeah.
It doesn't for people who aren't familiar with the series, right? I don't think that's going to convince anyone to get into it.
That's what I'm saying. So I think they would have been better off with a trailer.
Actually, let me push my glasses up here.
Thank you.
I have never played an Ace Attorney game, but I learned something about how they function, and I was like, yes, I would be interested in that.
Okay,
but
interesting.
Is that going to be the wider experience? Probably not.
Yeah, I just think that like that's not a game that shows very well in a presentation like that for a wider audience. Like they could have done with a concise trailer that just kind of hit on all the main points.
They should have just said Sherlock. How do you say
Herlock Sholmes? Yes,
Herlock Sholmes.
I think PlayStation put out a tweet that was like, team up with Herlock Sholmes. Yes, really, in parentheses.
Because he's public domain, guys. You don't have to. He's public domain. You can use his name.
Ace Attorney is, I would argue, notorious for really bad pun names. Like
Naruhodo.
Yeah, like the main character's name is literally I understand in Japanese. I think for the English translation, they just made it like he's a cool, like Phoenix, right? He's always right, but like Phoenix is such a cool name, right? I think it comes from the fact that he always gets he always looks like he's about to lose the trial, but then he rises from the ashes and et cetera, whatever. But for example, there is a character in, I think, Dual Destiny who looks like Jesus, hippie-ish, and is named Peace Lubben Understanden. Peace Lubben Understanden.
That's...
All right.
Wow.
I know
really
I'm
had
going
to pull
to
out
name
some
my
straws to get
firstborn
that.
now.
Wow.
Yeah, it was real rough.
Yeah, I mean, but my point is, the Capcom's presentation could have been in a couple tweets, man. There was no reason. And by the way, it was almost disturbing how like forcibly happy that presenter was. I thought that like just I don't know the way she was.
I liked her clear jacket.
Yeah, she had a clear jacket. It was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hating on her looks. I'm just saying she looked uncomfortable giving that presentation.
High energy, very high
force
energy.
Yes, like I was like, dude, you guys like listen, you guys didn't need to do this, and they weren't even the worst example. Bandai Namco was just one game,
right? But the thing, I think, I mean, maybe I only noticed it because I'm in the journalism, right? But I knew ahead of time that they'd be talking about just the one game, and I knew it was a game I didn't really like. I've never really played Until Dawn, Man of Medan, all that stuff. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I didn't even tune in because I was like, I don't expect anything at Bandai Namco to interest me, and it would feel really weird for them to say, yeah, we're going to talk about fucking Dark Pictures for a while, and then
Dark
surprise
Pictures.
you.
I said Dark Anthology earlier. Sorry.
Yeah, and then like, but one more thing. Here's a new Elden Ring trailer or something, right? Like that'd be really weird to
own the
do.
Elden Ring, actually.
I mean, they do. It's Bandai Namco.
Why wouldn't they just shove the where did the Elden Ring thing come? That was the general
Summer
presentation. Yeah,
that was Summer Games Fest.
Yeah, it was the kickoff event, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't understand then why not just put the Man of Medan thing there or the Dark Pictures anthology thing there? Why even have your own presentation?
Well, I mean,
maybe
but that
it
was
a
like
time slot thing, but
well, not only that, but that was more like an interview, like talking one-on-one with them, and it was like
full disclosure, I didn't watch it.
Yeah, so. I've seen only clips of it, but it seemed more like just like a sit-down interview. So I'm like, okay, I get why that wouldn't be slotted into other places. And we did see that. I should know the name of it. I don't remember the name of it. The new Dark Pictures game.
Because there's Man of Medan, and there's Little Hope or Lost Hope, Little Hope or something like that.
Yeah, and then there's
the controversial one.
They're in Iraq.
It's going to be controversial.
Yeah, but not political.
Not political at all. It's nothing. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, but that they did have trailers for that in one of the presentations. There are so many, like I think I've seen over 100 trailers at least in that. It's
been a lot of trailers.
Yeah. I think that my overarching takeaway though is just this was too much, man. It was too much to keep track of. Like I couldn't. There was some of the stuff that listen. I'm pretty, maybe not as much lately, but I'm usually really tuned in to what the hell is going on in this industry. And even I was like, what the fuck is that? Coke Media Prime Time? What is that?
Someone explain that to me because I feel like Coke Media Prime Time sounds very like corpo, by the way, we're doing games now, I guess, because that's what people pay for. What happened there? What was announced there?
I didn't watch it. I've heard from my Games Journal friends that it was basically like a bunch of developers saying, man, it is so great to work for the Coke Media. It is so fun. This is great and good for me as a developer.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it, man. Before it was simple. I mean, it was just Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, and then maybe Square Enix, and then Ubisoft in the wings.
Squeenix.
Right? Like, I begrudgingly watched Ubisoft's conference knowing that it was going to go too long, have cringe moments, and they were going to spend way too much time on Just Dance. That's what was my expectation. Oh, and then EA, of course. EA, like, talking about fucking sports games for 45 minutes so you can finally see a clip of the new Mass Effect game or something.
But we haven't even... EA Play has not happened yet. That's
even happened.
We're waiting.
It's next month.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So I think... I'm going to go a little bit off script here based on our doc. So we have a list of the top 5 highest peak viewers of the streams of the big publishers, right? And I think it might be interesting for us to go through those, kind of talk about them a little bit, because they, according to the numbers, were the biggest streams, right? The ones that people watch the most. And I think number 5 is the most surprising to me. BuzzFeed. Number 5 will surprise you, right?
Wow, Robert.
I know. So we'll start with number 5. Devolver Digital, 1.1 million viewers, or peak, which is surprising, but I think also goes to show how Devolver just has really carved a nook out for itself in this summer
underdog
games mess. Yeah, because like Colin was saying, I agree that like for one, it is exciting to see so many things are happening in the games industry that is just so vibrant, right?
For sure.
On the other hand, it is hard to keep up with everything because there's so much going on. And so what Devolver decided to do is like, we're going to come up with our own Devolver cinematic universe and have a weird fucking show every year.
I love it.
Yes.
Do your own thing. If you're going to participate in the chaos, then you should do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God. I understood that reference.
Chaos.
Chaos. How many times did he say chaos?
I have yet to watch Devolver because I got so lost in the shit that like I haven't even had a chance to watch Devolver's shit yet. But they are definitely a highlight for me every year. I will say though that limited run games fucking killed it. I love their presentation so much.
They took a similar approach, right? They contracted out Mega 64 to do their show. Yeah. And it was another, poking fun at conferences and stuff like that.
There was a lot of the meta in this E3 overall. I mean, one of the biggest announcements in my opinion anyway, was pretty meta in the idea of The Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But to bring it back to Devolver, what I did like a lot about them is that Daily, did you see their show at all?
I didn't.
Okay, so with
I'm
Devolver,
sorry.
no, you're fine. So the past 4 years, right, they've been doing an anthology with Nina Struthers, a fictional marketing lady, now android, who died on stage at some point and was revived as a robot Terminator thing to keep selling us video games and be excited about the future.
A noble pursuit.
This year, they recapped all of it, and then it ends. The recap ends, and it's just a marketing dude in a boring ass boardroom being like, "Yeah, so I'm gonna call the Devolver Cinematic Universe. What do you think? Think we should do this?" And all the marketing people are like, "You think gamers are gonna like us doing a weird meta 4-year fucking story about our bullshit video game? You're out of your fucking mind, dude." And they go meta on the meta. And then they introduce Max Pass Plus, which is a subscription service to give you the opportunity to purchase stuff, which is mostly microtransactions, which it's all a joke, which is very much in their brand. But they did have a merch booth or virtual booth where you can buy like a purple suit that has Max Pass like shittily embroidered on it. And
Nice.
then they created a videotape, like you need a VCR to watch it, of their presentation, and there's only one, and they broke it in a way where you can't copy it, and they call it a non-fuckwithable tape or an NFT. It's so good. It's so like, I don't remember many of the games that were presented, but that's how you fucking do a fun presentation. It was a nice
That's the
break.
kind of NFT I can get behind.
Yes, absolutely. You know, shit like that gets brownie points on this podcast, man. I just, God, just, I don't know. I'm a sucker for just really tuned in internet shit like that. I really am. But yeah, I mean, like, there was just so much that, like, I remember at one point just over the past month just scrolling through my YouTube feed, you know, because I'm subscribed to like PlayStation, Xbox, etc., Nintendo. There's just endless scrolling of game trailers, whether it's big names or indie games. God, there's so many indie games this year, dude. Like, I'm like, I've never heard of any of these. Any of them.
I mean, you'll never be able to play them all.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, isn't that partially the point that this is the event where you learn about them?
Well, sure. Yeah. Yeah. I was just kind of insane, like just how much there was. It felt like more than ever before to me, even though it probably wasn't. It's just what it felt like to me.
Well, I mean, it was chaotic. I will give you that. As happy as I am. Chaos. It's very chaos. And I think that's a great transition to number 4 on the list. 1.3 million peak viewers. Square Enix, who showed off Guardians of the Galaxy and Chaos.
For so long. Why was it so long?
It was 15 minutes.
This was another one I actually didn't watch. I didn't actually, to be fair, I haven't seen many of these. I've mainly just watched bits and pieces of Xboxes and Nintendos and
wow, you're not even a real gamer.
I know.
Wow.
I am kind of like, it's just not sitting down and watching a few conferences anymore.
Since you don't know, when we say 15 minutes of Guardians of the Galaxy, what are you imagining?
Well, I'm aware that it happened, and I know. So what I know about this is they showed that you play as Star-Lord, and you're fighting a lot of gelatinous cubes. In this demo that they showed.
But
and Star-Lord kind of looks like Troy Baker, which is real weird.
Yeah.
That I've also heard.
That rubbed me the wrong way. Like the designs I thought were neat right up until Drax and Star-Lord. I feel like those were botched designs, but I'm worried about other things that might be botched because the Avengers game didn't do so good on the front of bugginess overall.
Whoops.
This seems like
maybe there's a reason why this is its own game and not the DLC that we thought was coming.
Yeah, so we knew about this, the Guardians of the Galaxy game, before Avengers even came out, right? Because I think there was like the rumor mill swirling or like something. I remember hearing about this game vaguely before it was shown off. And so there's no way that they didn't already have this like in production by the time Avengers came out, because now this just seems like a really bad idea. So we know that the Guardians of the Galaxy game is a single player title, right?
Yeah, it's single player. I believe no microtransactions.
You play as
and
Mr. Quill.
If I may venture to guess, that probably wasn't always the case. My guess is it was probably like more of a multiplayer thing like this Avengers game, and then they're like, oh shit. And then like they pivoted back to single player.
I'm not gonna say this is telling, but if you pre-order the game, you do get 2 skins for Star-Lord. So, you know. I don't know. It seemed fine.
I will not be pre-ordering.
Yeah, like it seemed okay. Not really my cuppa, but it was very framey. So 15 minutes, right, Colin? It was straight up gameplay. It was just a whole segment of gameplay. Very framey. And the Guardians never shut the fuck up. They were always talking, always bantering. And
always.
It's like, man, you can overdo the Marvel formula, and this is super overdoing it. It's kind of gross. It was almost chaotic.
Yeah, and I don't know if I've said it on this show before, but I'm not one who has much interest in Marvel and DC IP, like superheroes and things like that. Aside from maybe Spider-Man. Love the Spider-Man games. From Insomniac specifically. But yeah, I don't know. So it never really interested me in the first place, but Square Enix's whole presentation sounded pretty scant anyway. I mean, we get into like Final Fantasy stuff, and that was just a whole lot of disappointment too, if you want to talk about that.
But I do have to say they handled the Black Panther DLC, I think, pretty tastefully, considering that that's going to be a sore subject.
For Avengers, right?
Yeah, for Avengers. And that from what I saw online, people are genuinely looking forward to playing that. And it looks like they probably put in a little more work to polish that and make sure that that is all it can be instead of what Avengers was.
And then so like Colin mentioned,
chaos.
They got into Final Fantasy. Apparently, we're getting Final Fantasy 1 through 6, HD remasters or whatever, only for Steam and mobile. That's cool. And then we're
6
getting
games,
I can't
whatever.
believe that.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that.
Yeah, I mean, no one plays on consoles anymore.
Oh my god! What are they doing? I don't understand. It reminds me of the whole like Final Fantasy 7. Then when they teased it, I think PSX one year, and it was like, oh, it's a PC port of the original game. Yeah, it's not a remake, guys. Sorry.
Right. Well, but then we eventually got the remake, and it's pretty damn good. So I'll take that.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm wondering if like they're just beating around the bush with the first 6 games because they have something planned for them to drop them on consoles.
I'd be curious to see if they plan on doing anything beyond that, because the Final Fantasy IP is very busy right now. You've got Final Fantasy 16, which we did not see. You've got Final Fantasy 14, which is getting its final expansion, I think, later this year. And then Final Fantasy Dark Souls, baby. And Final Fantasy 7 Remake, which is probably still in production, right? But Final Fantasy Dark Souls was the big crowning thing at Square Enix, where edgy white men yelled, "Chaos! I'm gonna kill chaos! I want to fucking murder chaos!"
Chaos. We're the guardians of light, or the gardeners of the galaxy, or the heroes of Hyrule. What was it?
I think the heroes of Hyrule. I think that was the one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Chaos is voiced by Vegeta. That's cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and
we love Sabbath.
And we got a demo of that game that didn't work.
Yeah.
So that was good.
It just looks like Dante, like it looks like a Devil May Cry take on Final Fantasy, because edgy white men yelling.
Yeah, I'd call it more Neo. It feels a lot more like Neo than Devil May Cry. But yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah, I have my issues with it, but I mean, it seems like it could be cool. Maybe it just seems like it'll be a little bland in terms of setting, and the characters really, I cannot stress enough how boring they are. But that was Square Enix, 1.3 million peak viewers. And then next on the list was Ubisoft, which makes me a little sad that got 1.4 million viewers. And I'll be honest, I don't remember a thing from the Ubisoft show.
Was this
Mario Rabbids?
Yes. Which is great, except for the Rabid Rosalina is so cursed.
Yeah.
Very.
So cursed.
I mean,
it's a rabbit going through their emo phase is what it looked like to me.
I didn't need to see it, and now I'm gonna have that thought in my head. Anyway, but other than that, was that just the interview with wonderful actor of Breaking Bad fame and Moth Gideon fame?
Oh, Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, who said that his character isn't a villain.
Yes,
that's cool.
It was an interesting. He's just a cool person. I like watching interviews with him. But
yeah, and I was actually
would have
joking
liked to
to
see
Robert.
more of the game.
Yeah,
but whatever.
And I was actually joking to Robert too. Is like, I wonder if they have Giancarlo Esposito like under contract to not say anything political about Far Cry 6, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's a Cuba analog, right? So
but games
it's right
aren't
there.
about politics.
It's right there.
And I mean,
Colin, games and politics are totally separate.
Let's cut Far Cry 6's creative writer person. I forget exact title. Let's cut him a little bit of slack. After Ubisoft said Far Cry 6 isn't political, he came out and said, actually, it kind of is. So
it's hard not to be.
Pick a lane, Ubisoft. Pick a lane.
I'll take that. I don't know. I'll be honest. When it comes to Ubisoft now, I find myself in a tough position in a place where it's like hard to get excited about anything from them, just because of all of the like harassment allegations and like
hold Ubisoft accountable. The hashtag was trending for a good while,
and
not the best hashtag when you're trying to promote your stuff.
Yeah, and it's just nuts to me, like, because they've made so many more missteps beyond that, right? Like the whole using the the Black Lives Matter like fist as a villain in one of their games, and then doubling back and being like, oh, we didn't realize that'd be political. It's like, you fucking idiots, like, come on, you did, you know who you're appealing to. So when they keep doing that sort of stuff, it's just hard to see anything they do in a good light.
It's not accidental at this point.
Yeah. With that being said, I think Rainbow Six Extraction, which used to be called Quarantine, which, that looked all right. Of all they showed, I think is the one I was most like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And even then, some people, there was a very mixed reception on that too, because some people were just like, why are they turning Rainbow Six into basically a zombie game? Mm-hmm. When Rainbow Six is like known as this tactical, slower paced shooter.
Because everyone has a zombie game, and we want a zombie game too. We can do it too. Me
zombie.
too.
Yeah, there's just a history with this series, and just falling on hard times and having to like very, very much shift directions when it comes to creative direction. What was it? It was Siege was originally Rainbow Six Liberation, I think, right? Or something like that. And there was some sort of political something or other that happened behind the scenes. And they're like, no, we need to like pivot completely. I can't remember what the hell happened there, but it was something like that. That game was in development forever.
Yeah.
Politics ruin video games.
Well,
yeah, that's why I don't put politics in any of my video games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, originally this game, like Extraction, was Rainbow Six Quarantine. And for obvious reasons, they had to change the name and I'm sure cut some stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
cowards do it. No.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think I got the original design documents. They straight up said, COVID-19, a fictional virus called COVID-19 created the zombies. Isn't that weird?
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
That wouldn't cause a panic in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Misinformation.
I don't know. There's Ubisoft, just the stuff that they do, man. It's fun to a degree, but they have a certain thing that they do, and which is just these open world type deals. And it's kind of, everything's just kind of based off that foundational formula and go from there. So it's really easy for their games to feel bland, really. And they're only veering harder into that kind of formula.
Yeah, speaking of bland, I just remembered their big reveal. It was fucking Avatar.
Yeah. Oh my god! Oh,
that game's never coming out.
I even said I was excited about that. But okay, that's the thing, though. I think James Cameron's Avatar is cursed in the sense that you cannot hold it in your mind. Like, you cannot remember the main character's name. You can't remember a lot of the plot other than like blue people and Pocahontas. Everything else is just, it falls out. But otherwise, like, if I didn't know that trailer was for the James Cameron Avatar, I'm like, oh, this looks cool. That looks like a cool little world you built there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I do want to explore that world, because again, I can't hold it in my mind for some reason. It's very slippery.
Don't worry. Avatar 2 is coming out in 2014. We're all it's just around the corner. So excited to see that movie.
It's been 84 years.
I don't know. That movie I think rode a lot on the whole like 3D revolution that was going on at the time with Real D 3D and shit like that. And I think that's a huge reason why
it's beautiful.
Yeah. That movie doesn't hold up all that well though. The CG. I mean, it's definitely showing its age. It's showing its age now, I think.
Yeah.
I will say though, I guess as a little bit of a disclaimer, I should just, I guess for full disclosure, have just a tad bit of a bias when it comes to Ubisoft because Yusuf I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I apologize. Who did a lot of the presentation for Ubisoft? I actually know him personally a little bit. I've met him and had a conversation with him. Super nice guy. I know it's kind of unrelated, but I just kind of wanted to for transparency reasons.
Yeah, name drop. I get that.
Yeah. I've met him. By the way, wait, I should have said earlier.
Asshole, guys, you're just trying to look cool because
guys, I've interviewed Chris Sabat before. We mentioned
that's true. Daily did interview Chris Sabat. Yeah.
Robert, name someone. Hurry before
Kojima.
you have. Oh fuck. Okay, never mind.
I haven't talked to him. No,
you just interviewed the developers behind Kakarot though, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. Yeah. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. That very very good action RPG.
Coming to Switch now.
So next game conference, the one that was the second highest peak viewers was Xbox / Bethesda, Microsoft Bethesda, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting, right, that they build it that way, even though Microsoft has bought a few other developers in the past, but it's never been like the Microsoft and In Exile conference, right? Or the Microsoft and Obsidian conference. It's the Microsoft and Bethesda conference this year. 2.3 million viewers at the peak across Twitch and YouTube. And honestly, I mean, for me, this is probably the best conference easily of the entire
because
weekend.
of all the Elder Scrolls information, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Todd Howard is my favorite thing.
Yep.
Person.
Yep. Object. Don't objectify Todd Howard.
So Xbox fucking came to play this year. Mm-hmm. They are we're finally starting to see Xbox just start to just take off the chains. We're like, listen, we're getting games. We made a lot of acquisitions. It like the whole Xbox exclusive drought. It's ending.
Bethesda. Yeah. You might have heard of them.
Yeah. And I can only predict that like Microsoft's probably only going to be purchasing more studios because they're building a shitload of momentum right now. And I think like, I don't know. I think I'm about ready to make the statement that like the Xbox games drought is officially over. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Games Pass is so worth it now.
Yeah.
So shameless plug. I wrote about that at techraptor.net. One little op-ed. But
Game Pass is the shit, man. I'll say it right here and now.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing, right? Is this conference? There's a lot of cool shit, right, in it, right? Like, there's something for everyone in this conference. But the real product that Microsoft was pushing was Game Pass, because like 90% of the games they showed off was day one on Game Pass, or coming to Game Pass, like
Game Pass.
They're porting it soon or something. And that's the big reveal: is that it's not, oh, I can't wait to be a Starfield fan. Or I can't wait to be a Redfall fan. It's I can't wait to just have Game Pass and then I can play both day one.
All the games.
Yeah. Like that's Microsoft's end game.
Yeah.
The Microsoft end game.
Yeah.
And Game Pass.
And
it's not a passing phase.
Mm-hmm.
And Game Pass is the name of this episode. I'm calling it now. That's coined.
I almost Game Passed out. I was so excited.
Wow.
Xbox, their plan, I had heard, now I think I can't remember if it was Phil Spencer or someone else, but they made a statement saying that their plan is to now release an exclusive Xbox game once every fiscal quarter from here on out.
Hell yeah.
That's 4 a year.
Yeah.
I can do math.
Look at you.
4 exclusive games every year.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Well, on top of that,
we were talking about the death of exclusivity.
Yeah, I mean, on top of that, they're doing 6 games in 6 months. Like every month from now until the end of the year, there's like something really cool to do on Game Pass, which is pretty rad.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's like Phil Spencer walked out and finally took off his blazer, right? He finally did it, and then he dropped it on the stage, and it created a huge crater. And he's like, "Oh, that's just 150 kilos. I'm finally ready to fight, baby. Let's go, Sony." Like, that's basically what Phil Spencer did.
Yeah.
Dang.
I think that they've had to remain dormant for a while now, and I think like this year was crazy, but I think next year is going to be even crazier for Xbox. Like next year is going to be just pure insanity. Because I think we're gonna get like Starfield gameplay probably, and like something about maybe Elder Scrolls. We're gonna get maybe the new stuff about the Perfect Dark game that they announced.
Yeah, the quadruple A game.
I mean, they announced Outer Worlds 2. We got Obsidian making Avowed. Is it Avowed, right?
Avowed. Yeah.
That was the thing. I could not remember the name. I was like, I love it. I love the way it looks. Don't remember what it's called.
Shit. Okay, hold on. I do want to talk about Outer Worlds because I know Daly mentioned it earlier, but something I couldn't get out of my head throughout the entire Microsoft conference was, yeah, Starfield's cool, but have you tried Outer Worlds yet?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like, that's the
Sorry,
weird thing.
but yeah, the talk about space RPG. I'm gonna think of the Outer Worlds instead. I was not super hyped about Starfield. I was just like,
was not
wow,
impressed.
Looks good. Wow, that's a release date. All right, cool. Thanks.
The thing, I'm gonna play Starfield. I mean, even if it weren't on Game Pass and Game Pass wasn't a thing, I would probably still buy Starfield because it's like, this is the next Skyrim. I mean, they even said from the creators of Skyrim, still riding off of that 10-year high, right? But it's like, what are they gonna do next, right? That's like, I think it's just interesting to see that.
Yeah, I think Bethesda's in a very weird spot. I saw the Starfield trailer and I was like, yep, that's the creation engine, you know? And I was like, this looks like it's going to be a Bethesda game. And I would really be curious to see how their formula is going to hold up now with all this competition that they have.
They kept saying like how many years it was like this is a game like 20 years in production or something, and it's like, okay, but like you can't say like, okay, someone had the idea at a certain point and then when did production actually begin on it? How long has this actually been in production, which I know it's been for a very long time, but a lot has happened in between in terms of like Bethesda's reputation, certainly with everything happening with Fallout 76 and those mountains and the Mothman, etc.
Yeah, I think. Well, is that true? You said 20 years for Starfield?
It was a double-digit number. It's like, this is a game that's been in production for like 25 years, and it was because I remember turning to Zach and being like, how old is Bethesda? Are they saying that this has been like the idea since the founding of the studio?
Well, no, I think it was more that someone had it written down in a notebook somewhere. It'd be like, wouldn't it be if we made a game like
I would imagine that's what it is. But I think that only reiterates what I want to say, and that's, I don't know where Starfield's place is in the market now. Like, what can Starfield do to impress us compared to these other space-faring games?
Procedurally generated planets.
Fucking No Man's Sky has that down pat now. I mean, No Man's Sky, like, even after a terrible launch, like, I mean, they've been updating it like hell, and it's essentially the go-to space exploration games. You know, and then we've had indie darlings like the Outer Wilds, and now we have the Outer Worlds, which is essentially Fallout New Vegas, but in space. But it's a very streamlined, like, very respects your time sort of RPG that's straightforward, takes like 30 hours to beat. But like, where does Starfield fit in? Like,
Skyrim, but in space.
How is that different?
Do I get a sword?
You get laser gun, maybe, and a sandwich.
No, I want a sword.
No, you get sandwich.
Yeah. And I mean, if their angle is going to be great storytelling in space, we already have Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Which
we're getting a Mass Effect 4 at some point.
Yeah.
I think space and like sci-fi as a whole has plenty of room, plenty of space, if you will, to tell many stories.
For sure.
I guess what I would have wanted from Starfield is a hint at that story that I'm interested in, rather than just like, it's going to be in space, guys. Because with Skyrim, it's more unique because it's like, it's going to be in Skyrim, this country where specific things are happening and there's certain parameters on the fantasy world. Whereas like space, it's like, okay, what are the parameters? Are there aliens? Are there like what can I expect? Because I have very little expectations other than this is a Bethesda game.
Right. I think where Microsoft kind of runs into trouble with it, right, is that it's a lot like EA when they released Titanfall 2, which is a space shooter parkour robot mecha thing.
Parkour.
And then a week later they released Battlefield, whatever, one of the Battlefields. And no one played Titanfall 2 anymore because it was like, oh, cool, there was one EA shooter. Let's play this other EA shooter. And they're very different shooters, but they're still EA shooters. And Titanfall 2 kind of died for a while. It's back now. It's kind of really awesome how great Titanfall 2 is now, and like servers are healthy because of the success of Apex Legends and all that jazz. But I worry this is going to be similar, where it's like Microsoft is now releasing Space RPG 1, which is Starfield, and there's going to be Space RPG 2, Outer Worlds 2, right?
And then they have Elder Scrolls 6 and Avowed.
Exactly. That's what I was going to bring up next, is that Bethesda's in another weird place where their next big trump card is Obsidian's doing their take on that too, right? And I don't know about you two. If I had to pick one, I'd probably play Outer Worlds 2 over Starfield.
I mean, if you were asking,
I know I'm going to play the one.
Yeah,
which is Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to ask my opinion right now, I mean, my favorite Fallout game is Fallout New Vegas, and that was Obsidian's doing, and they only had two years to make it. You know, I mean, they made something really impressive that iterates on all of the systems in Fallout 3 and does them better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, so
dunked on.
Yeah. And then they come out with the Outer Worlds and it's like, wow, why couldn't have this been Fallout 4? You know, like it kind of blew Fallout 4 out of the water for me, honestly. And so I have no reason to believe that Starfield will be better than the Outer Worlds 2. They may be going for two different things tonally. I mean, you can tell that just from the CG, well, not the CG trailer, but the in-engine trailer that they put out, that it's going to be, I don't know, like a more realistic bent, maybe, because they're still, you know, you have like the spacesuits, the traditional looking spacesuits and everything. But like, like Outer Worlds 2, I have no reason to believe that won't be at least a fucking fantastic game. And why couldn't Obsidian come in and do Avowed better than Elder Scrolls 6?
I mean, we'll have to see, right?
Yeah. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
I really hope we look back on this podcast and we're like, oh my God, we underestimated Starfield. How dare we?
Yeah. I mean, and hey, dude, I'm ready to like eat shit on my opinion, you know, like if
quote from Colin Sparling, he's ready to eat shit, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I think to be fair, right, we are giving Starfield a bit of a bad shake, right?
Yeah, we are.
I mean, like we keep saying like, oh, it's just from Skyrim, but like Skyrim is the biggest fucking RPG.
I still play Skyrim, guys. Well, I mean, I'm still playing Skyrim.
Yeah, like I don't think I've heard anyone say Skyrim is good in a long time because it's so passé. Like you just hear Skyrim and you're like, oh yeah, that good RPG. Like everyone knows it's a buggy mess sometimes, but it's also like pretty fucking fun, right?
Yeah.
And then mod support through the roof. I expect Starfield, it'll probably be buggy unless Bethesda has a 180. But I also expect it'll at least be passingly fun. Will it be more charming than Outer Worlds 2? Hard to say. Outer Worlds, arguably one of the biggest things is charm, right?
Yeah.
But I suspect Starfield is still going to be a good video game. It'll get 8s and 9s, maybe 10s.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting that it's being served up with another space RPG that has a very distinct flavor that a lot of other people might like more than a straightforward Skyrim in space.
Yeah. Starfield, I don't see it being necessarily a bad game per se. I just feel like that by the time it comes out, there just could be better stuff to play. That's the long short of it. Like to me, it's getting to the point where Bethesda almost feels a little obsolete. Like they're just a little behind with their design.
Shots fired.
I know that's a bold thing
that's
to
perfectly
say, but
perfectly valid. We've been waiting, and there's some they've relied a lot on the goodwill that they've built up with past games. And it's been eroded both by time and then by fiascos like Fallout 76 again.
Which they've been supporting like hell.
Multiple fiascos, but I want to preserve that little bit of goodwill that I still have and be like, yeah, it's going to be a good game.
Mm-hmm. I think we should move on to the top most viewed conference, highest peak viewers across Twitch and YouTube, Nintendo, the big Nintendo. 3.1 million viewers. That is almost a million more at its peak than Xbox's peak. And if I'm going to be honest, I really hated the conversation around the Nintendo conference before it happened, because there were so many, I'll say it, shitty people who were like, wow, E3 has been such shit so far. Nintendo, please save us. Which is like,
fuck you guys.
Yeah. What kind of expectations could you possibly have at that point? You know, like,
right.
You're out of your mind.
And also, like, I find it hard to believe that you've seen all the other conferences beforehand. And even if you, like, don't own an Xbox, how can you watch Microsoft's conference and not think, from an objective point of view, there's at least one thing in there that is exciting to another human being in the world?
Yeah.
Right?
I don't think these are the type of people that really give a shit. They kind of just are very selfish or want what they want and thinks games just... They're probably the same people that think games just kind of magically appear out of thin air. So,
do they not?
What? News to me.
Same.
Yeah.
Same thing with where's that Nintendo Switch Pro? Nintendo, that appears. Just summon it.
Yeah, just
make it happen.
Make it happen.
Come on.
Like the snap.
They were going to talk about that, right? That's software.
Yeah, well, yeah, because they did wrap it in a really nice cushioned leather. So when
software.
Right, so when you drop it, it don't break.
That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah. Where is it? Give it to me, Nintendo. No, that's the tone that people were taking, though.
Yeah,
very much so.
I know. We're all very impatient about the Pro. It'll happen, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, more than anything, like I think we need a new Switch. I mean, the hardware is just so behind to the point where, like, I won't play versions of games on Switch because I know it's gonna run so much worse than everywhere else.
Yeah.
Go
ahead, Daly.
What I think is gonna happen is that I bought a Switch purely to play Breath of the Wild, and I think I'm gonna buy a Pro so that I can play Breath of the Wild too.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the same line of thought.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, because to me right now the Switch is my Nintendo exclusives machine and select indie games machine.
Yep, me too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And wow,
Pokemans.
Just if anywhere more evident than that No More Heroes 3 Treehouse demo.
Woof. That was rough.
God, did you watch that, Daily?
No.
So they didn't include that in the direct. No More Heroes 3, they showed gameplay.
Yeah, well, because after the direct, they did like a 3-hour treehouse where they showed off extended gameplay of a bunch of games.
Because people are excited for that game. I might play that game.
Yeah,
right?
And
this is. I'm thinking of the right game. Yes, I am.
Travis touchdown laser sword.
It ran.
Yeah.
Fine, like performance, like frame rate wise. It was mostly fine, but it was rendered at like 540p resolution.
Yeah, like super low res textures.
Terrible, and like the low distance was awful. Like all the buildings looked like they were PS1 graphics. Like the backgrounds looked like a 240p JPEG. Like it was really bad.
There was a slight sliver, like a 2-3 second clip of them playing in what I assume is an open world, and that just tanked the frame rate. It's pretty nuts. But onto the better Nintendo things, I feel like this Nintendo Direct, like I feel like there are two flavors of Nintendo Direct. There's one where they go whole hog on one video game and then just a few other trailers, or the ones like the one we got for E3, which is like it's a little something for everyone, right?
Yes.
We got Smash, we got fucking Kazuya from Tekken.
Oh my God.
Throwing people off cliffs. It's
not Kirby.
Kirby.
That opening where he throws Ganon off the cliff, I was like, Zelda! But that was still pretty good.
It was great. I love that because I mean I like Tekken. Tekken's great, and it's nice to see that Smash is now the best fighting game because it has fatal whatever with the Trucker Man. It has Tekken. It has Street Fighter, and it has Smash. Scorpion Wen.
What more do you want?
Yeah, Scorpion Wen. Bad guy Wen.
Could just get Ryu from Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah,
because Dead or Alive / Ninja Gaiden, and Ninja Gaiden's on Switch now.
Mm-hmm.
So.
So yeah, we got the Tekken announcement, and then we got fucking Metroid Prime 4 is still in development. Metroid 5, Metroid Dread.
Fuck you.
Out of
my gosh,
fucking nowhere.
That was early 2000s, not the 2010s. That was. Oh yeah, we'll get the next game in the early 2000s. It's 2021.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Metroid Prime 4 seems like it's. I mean, I'm sure they're working on it. We'll see it when we see it. But Metroid Dread looked kind of neat. I mean,
Yeah.
It looked dope. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's stealthy and shit. And then there was what fucking I mean, Breath of the Wild, all the Zelda stuff, right? Shin Megami 5.
Yeah, Shin
That
Megami
was cool
Tensei
to see.
5.
Yeah.
Advance Wars is making a comeback, which was like
Yeah.
the least expected thing I had going into that at all.
Yeah.
Like they're remaking 1 and 2. That's crazy.
Yeah, Reboot Camp. Great name.
Cute name.
I get it. I
Yeah.
get it.
And also Super Monkey Ball.
Yeah, that was leaked before the Direct. But yeah, where I'm approaching with this Nintendo Direct is that I don't think there was that one thing a lot of people could get really, really excited about. There's just a lot of snippets and bits that tapped into a lot of different fandoms. Because like, not everyone is a Metroid fan, but the Metroid fans are rabid for it. You could say the same for Shin Megami, probably on an even smaller scale, because who likes Shin Megami Tensei? Am I right, guys?
Ooh.
Yeah, who likes that? There's a subreddit somewhere screaming at us.
There are 4. There are many, yes, and I mean, like, I'm a big fan of Persona, and I just, Shin Megami games, like, there is a fan base, it's just not as big as even Persona, and there's just this weird toxicity where they're like, I fucking hate Persona fans because they like the baby version of Shin Megami, and it's like, whatever, just play it on your Switch, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
And then Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Hold on. I want to give a shout out to WarioWare. I'm super excited that we're getting a new WarioWare game because I loved Smooth Moves on the Wii. Actually, I adored that game. And
Superstars.
Also, yes, and also Mario Party Superstars.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like greatest hits, right? Mario Party.
Yeah, dude, that's all you need. That is literally all you need for when it comes to Mario Party.
Mm-hmm.
It'll save between turns, guys.
Thank God.
This is big.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'll probably pick that up. It's a fun game night game, and we've needed a good Mario Party for a while, and they have just been kind of missing the mark the last few entries. So, but yes, to what Robert was saying, super excited about the Zelda news. Yeah,
I'm loving the weird spirit mecha arm thing he's got going on. I'm in.
Yeah. He's I liked the turning into liquid and going through floors. I foresee that being super useful when we're literally in the sky jumping from spaces. It's really interesting watching Breath of the Wild anything now and then realizing like this is what inspired all the other games that people are actively playing, that has that sweeping vista, that has like the half destroyed ruins with the moss growing on them. Not to say that Breath of the Wild invented that, but it's very easy to trace the inspiration.
Yeah,
very much so. There are of course a lot of prevailing theories around Breath of the Wild 2 regarding who you're playing. Like some people are going as far as to say that you're playing as a young Ganondorf instead of Link, only because you have that shot of the whatever player character's back falling from the sky, but you never see their face. So some people are thinking that it could be a young Ganondorf for one reason or another. That became a prevailing
Link just
theory
has
on
crazy hair.
Yeah, he's got real himbo hair. I love it.
Himbo hair.
And it was crazy. The way that theory came about is because Barrett Courtney from Kind of Funny was talking about it on Twitter and made like a whole thread about it. And then that theory got picked up by like Forbes and like GameSpot and like a bunch of other outlets. And so that just kind of exploded. But then like I read his thread. I see where he's coming from. I don't think it's going to be true. I think it's still Link. But
with Himbo hair.
Good try.
Himbo Link.
What I will say though is for you Zelda fans out there is this Breath of the Wild is officially the first game in the timeline now.
Because it's the prequel to Skyward Princess.
Yes, because Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be what connects
Spirit
Breath
Train.
of the Wild to Skyward Sword. And that's why they're re-releasing Skyward Sword. To emphasize that point.
To remind everyone.
Yes, because all that stuff in the
There's
sky that
here.
Link goes to in the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, that's Skyloft. That's going to eventually become Skyloft from Skyward Sword.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh.
Yeah. So they're gonna end and Hyrule gets destroyed again. I think this is gonna be an unhappy ending. It's gonna be a bad ending.
Oh my god, wait. What if the end of Breath of the Wild 2 is Link's about to die to Ganon, whatever, Calamity Ganon 2, right? And then and they're like way up in a sky island, right? And who's that to come in to save the day? Kazuya from Tekken. He comes in.
Stop.
He beats the shit out of Ganon 2 and then throws him off the edge of the island. So we have already seen the ending of Breath of the Wild 2 is what I'm saying.
There you go.
It's already out there. It's already been leaked.
He challenges
and then
Ganondorf to a Iron Fist tournament thing. Yeah.
Good old Nintendo.
So
there you go.
So yeah, Breath of the Wild is definitely up there in terms of like things that I was most excited about. But I knew that we'd see a little bit more of it. It's nice to just have like next year. Like, okay, sure, you couldn't give me the month, but next year, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
take your time.
The way he was talking about it was just like, hey, so like, I know what we talked about earlier this year, but like we put together some stuff for you guys to see in Breath of the Wild 2. And I was like, I knew as soon as he said that, I was like, we're not seeing this game for a while.
I mean, they in their official pressers, they say they are aiming for a 2022 release, which is a lot of people thinking this is a 2023 release.
Yeah, this is going to be a late 2022, like early 2023 release, I think. And I will also I would also like to hone in on something that Onuma-san said in passing when he was talking about this, but he said, we have no other Switch games planned.
That's it.
Where's the Switch Pro?
We have no other Switch games planned. So that could mean a lot of different things. That could mean no more Switch, like Zelda Switch games. So that means we're getting a new console. Right, so their Switch Pro allegedly is going to be called something other than Switch, is the implication there, or we're just straight up they just don't have any more Zelda games in the chamber right now. Period.
Or third theory, they always say retire at the height of your prime, not when you're at the bottom of the hill. What I'm saying is Nintendo's shutting down after they release Breath of the Wild 2.
Nintendo as a whole.
I thought you were just going to say no more Zelda. Like, we're retiring the Zelda series. It's over.
Nope. All of Nintendo. All of them. That's it. They've
this
peaked.
is our magnum opus, guys.
Yeah.
What about that theme park they just opened? Will that shut too?
Yep, shutting down. All of that.
Okay.
Temporary thing. You had to be there. Had to be there.
There was a pandemic. I couldn't be there.
Yeah. I will say, though, that instantly upset me, because does that mean then we're not going to get Wind Waker and Twilight Princess ported to Switch?
Oh.
Because
I guess.
I'm upset about that if that's true, because I don't know why you would leave those games stranded on the Wii U.
Oh, no, wait, hold on. They're going to port it to that Game & Watch.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way,
mobile.
They just kind of like, Onuma-san appears on screen. So like, here's the thing. Here's what we're going to do. The last segment. And it's a fucking expansion pass for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. And we're like, oh, is this it? Is this really it?
Yeah. And then they went into the then they went to Skyward Sword, and then the Game & Watch.
And then the Game & Watch, and we're like, dude, oh my God, you're killing me.
It's like edging, kind of.
Oh my God. Yeah.
What I expected to talk about today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I managed to get a pre-order for one of those Game & Watches, and yes, I'm buying one. I'm insufferable. Okay.
Proud of you, consumer.
I'd rather pay $50 than $150 on fucking eBay. Okay. I'll just use it as a fancy alarm clock. That's literally all it's going to be.
Yeah. So I think this episode of our show goes to show that I think we're all just excited to talk about games. Well, we're nerds, but I think it's all that we're excited to talk about these games. As much as we went in with this energy of like E3 is chaotic, chaos, kill it. There's too much going on. I mean, we've still gone off the rails and just was excited to talk about all the shit that we like to see, I think, right? And that, I think at the end of the day is why we're going to still see E3 2022 next year. It's going to happen. They are planning on it. That's what they say. But I don't think this is going away. Even if like at some point the ESA dies, the idea of all the game studios come together to celebrate gaming for what feels like 3 months is going to continue to happen in the future.
This is just Jeff Keighley's plan. He wants to do a hostile takeover of E3.
Jeff Keighley E3.
Keeley. It's been there all along. Keeley 3. Mm-hmm. It's going to be called Keeley 3. We're going to be calling it Keeley 3, and we're going to be like, remember when it was just called E3? And it's going to be like, shut up, Grandma.
Yeah, I really hope that just maybe next year, the year after, there's no more E3, but then it just comes out Jeff Keeley 3. And like he's like legally changes his name to Keeley 3.
Because he's keeling it.
Yeah, and then he comes out with a cane and an all black suit on. Just all black. So you're probably wondering why I brought you here today. Mm-hmm. And it just goes on about how I'm E3 now. I am world premiere.
He wields the Elden Ring.
He has the equivalent of the Infinity Gauntlet when it comes to video games.
You know, speaking of Keeley, though, I am surprised that these stats pulled by Stream Hatchet, like apparently Keeley's show didn't make it into the top 5. And at first I thought, point. Oh, maybe it was only all E3 stuff. But Devolver was not officially an E3 thing. It wasn't on the official E3 schedules. Devolver just did their own thing during that weekend. So, yeah, I'm kind of surprised that...
Especially because...
Elden Ring.
Sorry, excuse me. One moment. The Elden Ring!
Oh,
I wonder if you can even imagine it.
Oh, Elden Ring.
But by the way, day one I'm buying the hell out of Elden Ring.
Oh, no yeah. Question. I mean, that looks like Dark Souls plus Horse plus taking all of the good lessons from Sekiro. And I'm like, I'm here for it. Because for me, Sekiro is my favorite FromSoft game for now.
Breath of the Wild meets Dark Souls. Let's go. There's the headline. That's the headline for all the game outlets.
It's so interesting to me. And I'm not, video games that kill me a lot are ones that I typically don't play, but I have watched a lot of gameplay of Dark Souls games and, Soulsborne games and Sekiro, etc. But I was looking for, I guess, the George R.R. Martin inspo in that because of like his involvement was so emphasized, especially at the beginning. But I was just like, yeah, this looks like a From Software game. I mean, they're really good at world building and being like very esoteric and interesting in their designs. So it's like they didn't really need the George R.R. Martin aspect of it, and it's almost better that they're not banking on that now after the failure of Season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I mean, well, I think the original design document for the game, they called it a Song of Ring and Elden. I think that's changed since then. But yeah.
That was the influence. That was it. He was like, you should call it this.
I mean, see, Daily, what they're not telling you is actually George R.R. Martin, he just took 2 or 3 years to write like one item description in the game.
Yeah, it's really long though.
Yeah, it's really long, but it was just the one item description, and of course they got to use them for the advertising.
Mm-hmm. He just copy pasted Winds of Winter, and it's just you read it through the item descriptions, one by one.
Yeah, you have to piece it together too. You don't find the items in order. So
that's the real gameplay aspect. That's what the speedrunners aren't going to be able to appreciate from this game.
Yeah, Elden Ring is actually about a nerd who wants to read his favorite book, but the book is scattered across the world and he has to fight demons to get it.
God, I wonder if it's just going to be a thing of just like, yeah, we just put Ned Stark's sword in the game. That's it.
It's going to be doubly interesting because of that. But I mean, even without any kind of like George R.R. Martin influence, it's like, that's a good ass game.
Yeah. I mean, I can't offhandedly see any sort of like where his influence would have came in that trailer.
Horses.
It was Miyazaki from Soft all the way throughout that trailer to me.
You know, I just remembered too the Giancarlo Esposito interview. That wasn't at Ubisoft show. That was during Keeley's show.
The game showcase.
Was
that
right? Keeley 3?
Yeah, because Far Cry 6 was another one of those games that showed up like 5 times. Like that's the weird thing about the Z3. There were a lot of games that showed up everywhere. Like Chernobylite showed up everywhere. Far Cry. Monster Hunters Stories 2. It's weird.
Very true.
Yeah.
I really wonder how they're going to rein in this chaos for next year.
I don't know if they will.
I don't know
I wonder if you can even imagine it.
I'm kind of scared.
Well, so I think as a way to close it down here, let's go rapid round robin table, round the virtual table. Your favorite conference of E3 2021, Daily.
Keeley 3.
Colin.
I'm gonna say Nintendo, but I'm gonna give a big shout out to Xbox because I thought they were. I am gonna buy an Xbox probably sometime within the next year. Either that or I'll be gaming on PC with Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, and that for me is the winner for me. Xbox easily. I think their show synergized the best, to use a business term, with everything that the Xbox idea is, which is Game Pass. It's Netflix, right? That's the big thing. Worst conference or worst thing about E3, Daily?
Apparently that Koch brothers thing, but also the audio mixing on a lot of the presentations just flatline.
Colin?
Ooh. I mean, the worst one that I actually watched was Capcom's.
Oh.
Yeah. The otherwise, I just kind of got the highlights for the rest of them and how other people were saying they're bad. So
right. For me, it's Stadia, and here's why.
Oh God!
Because none of you.
There was a Stadia.
That's the thing. There wasn't. There was not a Stadia show. But the reason I say that is because both of you two didn't even think of the word Google Stadia until I just said it. You probably haven't.
No, of course not.
You probably haven't thought Google Stadia in the past 4 months until I just said it.
Google has thought about Stadia in the past 4 months.
Right, and I'm not normally one to rag a lot on something like this, but it's just baffling to me that Google, one of the most powerful companies in the world, was like, we're gonna get into the gaming space, guys, and they just don't. They release the Stadia and then they don't.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
And
I'm not having fun anymore, so I'm not gonna do this.
And the reason I thought this is because, for one, I just thought in my head, has any game said coming to Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and Stadia? And only a very few did. I think the Avatar game from Ubisoft did. And then what really tipped it off for me is during the PC gaming show, which was a little bit cringy, but they had some cool stuff. They showed off Orcs Must Die 3, a tower defense action game, right? Where you kill a bunch of orcs. Fun fact.
Racist.
A little bit, yeah.
Speciest.
So they showed it off. It looked cool. It looked fine. If you like the first two, you'll like this one probably. And then they kept saying, yep, and we're releasing in July something, right? Like, yep, we can't wait. It's coming out on PC, Xbox, PlayStation. Please look forward to our release date in July. Orcs Must Die 3 was a Stadia exclusive in July 2020. It has been out for a year, and they did not utter the word Stadia once. They did not hint at the fact that the game is already out and you can play it on Stadia. They treated it like it was a brand new release that is coming out in July 2021.
That's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. A Stadia exclusive.
That's a Stadia snub.
That's
right there.
That's crazy. And also, wasn't it not as big of a scale? What?
Wave Break was the same. That's
exactly what I was going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Wave Break, like they barely pushed that game until now. It's coming out on like Switch and other consoles, right? So like, yeah. Now they have this huge marketing with Wave Break, and Wave Break they did a song with fucking Weezer.
They did. And they played Weezer.
Never mind.
They played it at Keely's show.
Keely's show loses points because that was awkward as fuck.
Kind of.
Yeah, but so like even the Wave Break people, they're like, yeah, we know we had exclusive, we were exclusive on Stadia for a while there, but who gives a shit about that now? Like,
yeah, I mean, that just harks back to like that one time at a CDPR press conference, someone asked, hey, how are your sales on Stadia? And they just laughed. They didn't answer the question, but they just laughed. And it's just nuts to me that if there's any time for Stadia to be like, hey, we've got this cool new shit to talk about, why not do it during the biggest moment in gaming?
Yeah, I mean, they easily could have made like a comeback here, if they had like a big plan in line and like come out and just swing their dick around, be like, hey, yeah, we have all these games lined up coming to Google Stadia. Like, it's super accessible and easier to play than ever on your TV, on your laptop, on your phone, whatever, marketing speak. And they could have easily done that, if they'd planned for it, but they didn't. They were absent.
No.
And now I'm over here thinking that Microsoft's about to fucking take over, dude. Like, what? I don't even think the game industry understands how much Microsoft's about to just fuck everyone.
I think, yeah, the thing is Microsoft has already done it, I think. Because, earlier I said that 90% of the games shown at Microsoft's conference is coming to Game Pass, right? And of those 90%, probably 90-ish% of those as well aren't just coming to Game Pass for console. They're coming to Game Pass for console, PC, and cloud. As long as they keep that promise, you can play Starfield on your fucking phone via cloud on November 11, 2022. And that's just one of like, Forza 5 you can play on your phone. Fucking Redfall, phone, right?
Oh, shit. Redfall looks so good.
Yeah, it looks neat. And that's the thing, is that why was Microsoft not even trying to say, hey, look at our cloud gaming? And they still have done a better job at selling the idea of playing games on your phone via the cloud.
Yeah, I don't know if that's because, they're still working on it, right? It's still in beta.
xCloud, yeah, it's still in beta, but now it is open to everyone. It's not just, or it might still it's only Xbox Ultimate member, like Ultimate Game Pass, right?
I see.
Ultimate gamers only.
Only the most elite gamers can use it. But yeah, it's not like it's this hurdle to get past besides money. You pay the fee and bam, you can play. Like, I played Dragon Quest 11 on my phone.
Yeah. Now we're getting to the point where Microsoft is going to be closer to a really direct competitor to PlayStation, right? They're going to have their own exclusive games from Bethesda and a shitload of other studios and Obsidian and all of those. And we know now that for sure a lot of those games are going to be exclusive on Xbox, Starfield included, right? So, they're coming out swinging against PlayStation. They're coming out swinging against Google. They have been for a while now.
Yeah.
And beating their ass. And so
such violence.
Yeah. But now we're getting back to the point where you have all of the big three vying for your attention for one reason or another. And I think the people, let me back up. The company that's going to be hurting the most is PlayStation now.
They didn't show anything at all at E3.
They didn't show anything at all, and they're still going to have their boutique exclusives over here in the corner, and they're still going to continue to sell well. And the PlayStation 5 has still outsold the Series X 2-1. They have a bigger player base there now. But Xbox has an ecosystem where you can play games in all of their consoles, all the way from Xbox One through Series X. For the most part,
and on your phone.
We didn't even mention the new Halo.
Yeah,
you guys have phones, right?
Yeah, you can play Halo Infinite on your phone. I think I'd have to double check if that's a cloud-based one, but
permanent battle pass. It doesn't expire.
Yeah, and I think it says a lot too that even before E3, right? Like Microsoft, there were rumors going around that they're talking about putting Xboxes in TVs. Like literally, you buy the TV, Xbox is already on your TV.
Oh, bruh.
Yeah,
I can see that being a very large appeal. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that would be the cloud version, I believe. But
yeah,
done deal. Stadia's been trying to do that, but they didn't even put Stadia on their newest Chromecast until very recently.
Oops.
So
yeah, I don't know. I can foresee. PlayStation's gonna. They have to be starting to feel scared. They have to start to feel very much just threatened.
Mm-hmm.
If I was in Sony position, I would too. Sony just doesn't have the capital to throw at things like that the way Microsoft does.
Yeah, and I think of it a lot because Sony's exclusives are still good, but they're
great.
It's like, do you want to
God of War?
Do you want to drive an hour to the really nice theater that's going to play that boutique film you really want to watch, or do you want to check out, the latest Marvel movie or Fast and Furious or whatever theaters near you that we can walk to in 5 minutes? That's Game Pass versus that boutique theater, which is the Sony exclusives, right? Like, God of War is great. I'm going to make the trip out to it, but I'm only going to do that like once a quarter or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I absolutely think that they can still cement themselves as very important and as a direct competitor with Microsoft by relying on those names that they do have in their pocket there. But for sure, there's going to be, especially the future as we move toward like, what, I can't play this on my phone? What do you mean I have to sit down in front of the TV or like sit down and have that kind of experience?
Oh, I have to pay $70 for this?
It's,
MLB The Show. MLB The Show. Developed by Sony San Diego and on Xbox Game Pass when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to pay $70 for it when it came out on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what Sony does, you know, like they keep making their exclusives off in the corner, but people are going to start seeing that it's just easier to play games on Xbox. You know,
ease of access is very important.
Not to mention, you know, PlayStation refuses to play nice when it comes to crossplay.
I don't think they know what
That's
it
why
means.
It's why I don't play Genshin on my PS4.
Yeah, I mean,
instead I play it on my phone and on my computer and on my iPad.
Your brand new iPad that you bought just for Genshin Impact. Let's be very clear about that.
Dude, it's
a free to play game.
It's almost isolating. It's almost isolating at this point, being just a PlayStation fan and a PlayStation fan alone. You know, like,
and
you can't.
Let's not get too hyperbolic, right? There's still people who like own their PS5 to play Call of Duty and shit, right? There are people who are going to play Battlefield 2042 on their PlayStation and be fine. Like
climate change attacks, right. No politics whatsoever.
But I'm just saying,
that game,
if you have, you know, if you're a gamer with diverse gamer friends who play on like PC, Xbox, Nintendo, blah blah blah, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you're stuck on PlayStation. I mean, it's getting to the point where in some cases you're on an island by yourself with other PlayStation people, you know.
It is a nice island, though.
It is. It's a nice island. It's an island with that one island in the Bahamas with the Atlantis Resort and shit. Yeah, that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you can have a good time on that island.
Exactly, you can have a great time on that island, and I would still argue that PlayStation still has some of my favorite games in existence on their platform, which is why I'm a huge fan. But
yeah, like I want to be clear, I spent the past like week playing Ratchet and Clank, right? Like.
Yeah.
As much as I think it's easy to talk about Microsoft in a really positive light, and it's easy to like compare what they're doing to Sony and be like, man, Sony, why aren't you doing that? But at the same time,
why aren't you at E3?
Yeah, but at the same time, they publish Ratchet and Clank. They're gonna publish Horizon Zero Dawn 2, and they're gonna publish God of War 2. Like, it's gonna be impossible to ignore those, right?
Yep.
Right. I just think they need to come down from their position of cynicism a little bit.
It's more elitism, I feel like.
That
cynicism. Yeah.
And look down their nose at the rest of us gamers.
Right. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think it's just outdated to think that, like, you know, we can't allow people on our platform to play with others. Like that's a huge sticking point for me.
Right.
You know.
Well, I think this is probably a good place to wrap it up, because I feel like, I mean, if it's anything gaming, I feel like we could probably
go on and on and on. Yeah, we got to cut it off.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because we haven't even covered like we haven't even covered an eighth of the conferences, really. Nope. It's just that there's so many of them, right? Like it's a lot. So I feel like what we have has kind of holistically captured our thoughts on E3 2021, and it's a good place to end.
Slime Rancher 2, my favorite.
Oh, well, you want to talk about your favorite games?
What was your favorite announcement, real quick? Slime Rancher. Why was it Slime Rancher 2?
Favorite announcement. Oh God. Jesus Christ.
It's Slime Rancher 2, isn't it?
It is. Better be.
Everyone's okay. Let's cut, guys.
Wow.
Slime Rancher 2. Yeah, everyone's really excited for Slime Rancher 2.
Only gonna buy Slime Rancher 2 for this video.
Guys, I'm blowing a gasket over here. I mean, Breath of the Wild 2 is too basic. I can't.
I don't know.
You can say the Elden Ring.
Yeah, you can say
Elden Ring. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's it. Never mind.
Oh yeah.
It is Elden Ring, but I've been saying the Elden Ring.
The Elden Ring. Yeah, that's game of show for me. Sure. Yep.
Easily. Yeah. For me, I don't know. Outer Worlds 2. I mean, I know we don't even know what that's gonna look like. I just really like the way they revealed it. It was fun. It was great.
Slime Rancher 2.
Yeah.
Slime Rancher 2.
Slime Rancher 2.
There's bats. Yeah. There's bat slimes, guys.
Bat slime.
Do you know how much I love bats?
All right, I think that's a good place to end the show.
Slime Rancher 2. Slime Rancher 2. Slime Rancher 2.
Anyways, write in with your hot takes.
Yeah, write in with your hot takes what you thought
about Slime Rancher 2.
Yeah, that's it, really. The only thing you like is Slime Rancher 2, obviously. Tell us all your thoughts about that, please. You can email that to us at everythinginpod@gmail.com or tweet to us at everythinginpod on Twitter. Next week, we do have a little homework for you if you want to listen. We're going to talk about Mugen Train. Demon Slayer Mugen Train. I know that came out in theaters a few months ago, but you know, the world was still weird. I mean, it still is weird now, but it was weirder 2 months ago. But it's coming out, it came out already. It's already out this week, digitally. So we're going to watch it digitally. We hope you do too. And we're going to talk about it next week and just kind of talk about anime movies in general and just like how cool it is that they're all getting like theater releases, and it's pretty rad. So that wraps us up for this week's episode. But wait, there's one more thing.
World premiere.
In a world where podcasts don't exist anymore, one old school radio show stood up to take the throne.
Well, Joe Rogan's still there, but he's a Spotify exclusive
Thrones.
now, so that no podcasts exist, basically.
If you listen to us on Spotify, we still love you. Everything in Poderation 2, the return of internet.
You've never seen the internet quite like this.
The return of the meme.
You've never seen it because it's an audio show and you don't look at things when you're listening to a podcast.
And all you IT people out there might be like Web 4.0? No, it's not like that. Well, it's kind of like that, but not really. More memes.
Yeah, so what can you
A
expect?
Stadia exclusive.
We're only on Stadia, guys. It's gonna be so good. So, Colin, what can we expect from Everything in Poderation 2? What new shits are we gonna do?
Well, you see, every single week, you're going to get a brand new trailer on every Tuesday, but you can only download it on your PlayStation 5, and it's real in-engine. And you're probably wondering, what do you mean in-engine? You're a podcast. We'll get to that. We're now announcing the Everything in Poderation 2 official graphics engine. Mm-hmm. And you may be wondering, why does it look like a lot like Unreal Engine 5? Well, you gotta go with what works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
We stole it. We stole it. we just took
yes.
it. Daily, what else can
Sorry.
we expect from Everything in Poderation 2?
In the upcoming content that you can expect only on Stadia, we're going to see bat slimes. They're going to have little ears and little wings, and it's very exciting. We're going to see new areas to ranch your slimes into. There's going to be George R.R. Martin is there. We have some exclusive content written by him about horses that you should be very excited for.
Mm-hmm. It's mainly about how horses mate in the world of Elden Ring too.
Yes.
It's not what you think.
It's really extended. It's really graphic. We had to get specific things cleared by various zoologists in order to represent the most realistic experience possible.
And that's
in
why
the Unreal Engine.
And that's why you have like the HBO. This show is for mature audiences at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you might be wondering, well, when can I listen to Everything in Poderation 2? Well, lucky for you, we do have the release date ready to go. So we're coming out on November 11, 2022. It's the only interesting thing coming out on that day. But if you subscribe to our new thing we like to call Uber Eats Pass, not related to the other one that you think it is. We just thought that it was a cool name, okay? If you subscribe to our version of Uber Eats Pass, you get the first episode of Everything in Poderation 2. What's that? Today, right now, on your phone.
Robert will hand deliver it to you. Because
I
it's
will.
Uber
Just
Eats.
send your address to me.
Eep 2. I wonder if you can even imagine it.
Oh, Poderation Ring.
Stadia exclusive.
Stadia exclusive, only to Stadia.
Yeah, but also you have to watch it on a display while playing Starfield. You play it in your ship.
Mm-hmm.
You know you have two monitors.
Game.
I already said this.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, this is a stupid idea.
It was dumb. I actually forgot about it until Robert said it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'd like to take this chance to introduce Hideo Kojima to announce.
Yeah, that's what I meant when, by the
here.
way, did I mention that those trailers that we release every Tuesday, only on your PlayStation 5, that's actually a Hideo Kojima game? Because if you take my name and put it into Google Translate from Portuguese, it actually means...
Yeah,
Kojima.
if you translate it to Portuguese and then back to English, it becomes an anagram. And if you flip it, if you put the letters in the right order, it spells Hideo Kojima. And
Slime Rancher 2.
yeah, it's very close.
Wait, so that translates to English to Hideo Kojima, not even Japanese?
No, it goes to Hideo Kojima. It's very close. It's very close.
I hope the people listening are like, are they done?
All right.
Are they done? They're probably
probably
closed out their podcast app by then.
It's all over by now.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for sticking with us to the ends of this stupid idea we had. Because all the E3 presentations do one more thing, and we thought it'd be funny if we did one.
We're all wearing blazers and t-shirts, by the way.
Yeah, we don't really have anything to announce. We're not doing an actual Everything in Poderation 2. I'm sorry we lied. I hope you can forgive us. But we will be back next week where we're going to talk about Mugen Train. Hope you tune in. Hope you enjoy. Yeah, just like the train does.
Yes.
Yeah, all off the E3 train and now onto the Mugen train.
Even though we're off the rails. This has been Everything in Poderation. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Slimer Intro 2.